Hello everyone, JoRaSe here. Let's get to making that game again in our advanced Blender series. And this time we're going to start bringing our models into the Gamestudio sphere, if you will. So we've got to get them from Blender into a file format that the Gamestudio program can understand. And once we have that, then we're going to be able to go and save them in the Gamestudio format. It may seem kind of overly complex, but really it's what we have to do. Blender can't save into the format that Gamestudio needs, and Gamestudio cannot take just any format. So, that being the case, we've got a bit of work to do. So let's get to it. So here we have Gamestudio over here, the model editor, and we have Blender over here. And I've already loaded up the first letter tablet. So let's go ahead and go to File, down to Export, and we want to export it into the FBX format. So we've got a few things to change. First is the version. We don't want 7.4, we want 6.1. And we only want these last three selected. So if we hold down Shift and left click, left click, left click, it deselects those. And the only other thing we need to worry about is this default take. We need to deselect it. And now we are ready to go. So hit Export FBX up here, and it's done. Come over to Gamestudio, up at the top, and this, I did it earlier to make sure everything was that I'm telling you now was actually going to work. But once I did, I got rid of the file because I want to have a clean run through with you. It just won't get rid of the file path there. Now we want to import model from FBX. And we want this one. And if we hit open, we get this. Mesh, texture, and scene. Mesh is the model file. Texture is the texture map, and scene is the animation frames. This doesn't have any animation, but we're just going to leave it alone because it doesn't really matter one way or the other. For this, we want to make sure everything lines up right, so 324 vertices. If we come over here to Blender and move this over, we can see vertices are 324, so that checks out, and faces should be 320, and indeed they are 320. Never mind the odd spelling of faces with an S here. And then the texture, so long as it actually has a size here, something by something by something. The last by something is usually the color depth. So this is a 32-bit color depth image. As long as it says this, everything is fine. If it has not loaded or not loadable or something along that line, it means the texture file is not in the directory the exported FBX file is, and you've got to move it over. preferably before you actually import it. So everything's okay, so we're going to hit OK. Oh, and with scene, if we had more frames, it would list them here, and it would give a time frame here. But everything's okay, so we're going to hit OK, and then OK once more. Give it a second, and there we have it. So this is our model now in Gamestudio. And we can kind of zoom in and compare it with this one and make sure everything looks right. And it does. Everything looks right. And with that, we can now File, Save As. And we're going to start typing what it is. We can go ahead and select token.a.blend, so long as we delete the .blend. And now just click somewhere off of or out of the little file name bar there, and because we want to save it as an MDL7 file, and we don't want MDL5. That was a previous version of Gamestudio that was more limited. We want MDL7, and hit save, and it's done. So that's how we do one. Let's go through the other four. Not four. We only have 3 to go, don't we? So let's, over here in Blender, scroll this back over, go to File, and either find it in your directory we've been using, or just where, if you have only been doing these, then they should still be in your Open Recent bar. Go ahead and select the next one. And we're going to File, Export, FBX. And we want to change it from FBX7 to FBX6. Deselect these first 3 again. And again, hold down Shift and just left click, left click, left click, gets them all. Scroll down, deselect default take, and make sure the file name is for the right letter. It should be, but never trust it. Always verify. Then hit Export FBX. Now, we want this to be a new model, so in the model editor for Gamestudio, hit the New Page button right here, and go to File, Import, Model from FBX. Now we want the A token, and this is a good way to make sure you're doing the right file, is to have Blender on one side of the screen, or if you've got a multi-monitor setup, have Blender open on another monitor so you can quickly just look over and see that the one you've just exported is the one you're now importing. So now we want to open this file, and it will give us all the same information from before. This time we have 102 vertices, so let's just verify that up here at the top. 102 vertices, and faces 100. So again, 100 faces, everything is right. And again, texture, we've got the dimensions there, so it's loading properly. And scene, everything is fine. right there. So now we're going to hit OK twice. Once, let that green bar fill up, and then once more. And here we have the next letter, A. And one thing I will suggest, where is it? Where is it? I want select. So we want to select it all and move it over to the origin point there. So box select the entire thing, scale it out a little bit, grab the move bar or move icon, and we're just going to move it down on the y-axis. That should be good. We just want to keep everything as close to the middle as possible. It'll help later on. And now we can deselect everything. And we want to save this as token S. So we can come down here and grab token S so we're not having to type everything. And again, we just want to delete .blend. And click off of that bar, make sure the save as is the right type. We want an MDL7 file, and hit save. And there we go for number 2. Next up is the V. So back over in Blender, File, Open Recent. And here we have our V. Want to File, Export, FBX. Now, change this to FBX 6.1. Deselect empty, camera, and lamp. Scroll down, and we don't want default take. Make sure that it's token V, and you can verify that with the file name at the top, right up here, where the cursor is. It's the same token letter. We hit Export FBX. In Gamestudio, we want another new model file, and we're going to do an import of and from an FBX file. So import model from FBX, and this time we want the V token. Again, checking that the letter is the same as the one over here. Open it up, verify that everything is as it should be. See, for the mesh we have 94 vertices and 90 faces. Let's see if that pans out up here. 94 vertices, or verts as Blender calls them in this top bar, and 90 faces. So that checks out. The image file is loading properly. So we can just hit OK, and then hit OK again. Give Gamestudio a second, and it loads it in. And we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to select everything and move it over. Because as you can see, it's further away from the origin, and we want it over there. So we want the Select tool, box select, and then we grab the move tool and just zoom in a bit, I guess. There we go. And move it down close enough. And we're going to save this as token V. So type it in, go down to where token V is in the list, click it, and delete .blend. Make sure it is a MDL7 file we're saving it as, and hit save. The last one to go, up in Blender, or over in Blender, File, find your E file. And again, if you have to navigate to the directory that you saved it in, fine. I'm not doing that here because, like I said, I've had to experiment with things and make sure everything works the way it should, so I've got them just sitting there. We don't need it in edit mode. Would be nice to see the front, so let's turn it around a bit. And go to File, Export, FBX. And make sure the version is 6.1. Deselect empty camera lamp and deselect default take. Make sure the token letter is matching with the file name and hit export. Now in the model editor for Gamestudio, open up a new file, go to File, Import, Model from FBX, and load in the E file. Again, verifying that the token letter we're opening up matches the one we just exported. So that's token E. Open it up and verify the mesh, vertice, and face count in Blender. Vertices should be 104, 104, and faces should be 100. And they are. We have a size for our image, so that's loading in properly. Hit OK once and again. And here's our file. Now we need to move it down like we've done with the others. So we select it and slide it down. Moving the screen as we need. And that looks okay position-wise to me. So let's save the file here as token E. Delete the .blend and make sure MDL7 is the file type and hit save. And that is where we're going to call it for this time. See you all next time. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the video you just watched. If you did, right here, let's move my head over, there we go, right here is going to be another video in the future for the next in this particular series. And over here is going to be the previous video in this series, along with a subscribe button down below it. So feel free to give that a hit, and be sure to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. And let's see. Oh yeah, be sure to leave a comment. I'd appreciate knowing what your thoughts are. Until the next one, everyone.